Sugar is one of the leading causes of memory loss. So, those of you who are really, really struggling with being able to recall things and you're attributing it to your age, it's not your age. Try your diet first to see if things change. So, even with things like maple syrup and honey, I can tell the difference in my memory and my ability to recall and think clearly. I can also tell the difference in fatigue. So, sugar really, 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 really tires you out. So, those of you who are starting your day with like your caffeinated drinks that are full of so much sugar, those of you that are fueling yourself throughout the day with energy drinks and all of these things that are full of sugar, it's killing you. It's spiking your blood sugar, which means you crash. And then it's destroying your memory. And then it's also making you tired because that spike in that blood sugar and that quick drop in your blood sugar because there's no fiber present, it's also what causes fatigue. And so then you need another hit for energy.
Optimal health is not a privilege, it's a right. However, unfortunately, the overwhelming majority of health challenges today can be attributed to lifestyle. This includes our physical activity, the quality of our relationships, stress, purpose and fulfillment, and of course, our diet. But what if there was an alternative? What if we could prevent and combat these health challenges with lifestyle changes before pills and procedures? You are listening to the Plant Protocol podcast with yours truly, plant-based health and business coach, and now the forever voice in your head, Lisa A. Smith. It's time to come get this health.
Relationships are so important. And today I want to talk about one of the relationships that has made the biggest impact in my life. And that is my relationship with food. Many of us have had a checkered relationship with food. Many of us have had an up and down relationship with food, some good years, some bad years. And so I thought I would address one of the biggest things, one of the biggest impacts that food has had on me, which is my ability to perform. So for me in the past, food has been responsible for me being overweight and out of shape. Food has been responsible for me losing over 60 pounds and being in shape. Food has been responsible for brain fog and fatigue. Food has been responsible for mental clarity and recall. Food has been responsible for many of us for soothing us through uncomfortable emotions. Food has also been responsible for where I am today, which is no disease, no diagnosis, no medication, no medical equipment, right? No dependency on drugs, no dependency on doctor's appointments. Food has been responsible for a lot. And it's one of the things that we can sometimes take for granted if we're not looking at stuff like our weight and our health from the neck down. But today I want to talk about what I eat in a day for low stress and high energy. And this is really speaking to how food impacts us from the neck up. A lot of times we're all smart enough to know that what we eat is going to determine things like our life expectancy and whether or not we have heart disease and whether or not we're overweight and whether or not we have diabetes and blood pressure issues and cholesterol issues. But a lot of us don't put as much weight on our diet when it comes to things like stress, when it comes to things like our ability to navigate stressful situations, our ability to live a life of radical obedience. And so today I'm going to break down for you guys why food is so important when it comes to stress, radical obedience, energy. I'm going to tell you some of the things I eat, some of the things I don't eat to intentionally manage those areas. Okay, so let's get into it. What do I eat in a day for low stress and high energy? I'm going to share with you guys today a couple of things. The first thing I'm going to share with you is why this topic is so super important as it relates to stress, as it relates to just navigating hard times in life, why this topic is so important. I'm going to share with you the two parts of the body that I prioritize at a high level for low stress and high energy. I'm going to share with you some meals I ate this past week and kind of what my version of plant-based living looks like. And so we'll have a good time today. The other thing is I have an update on my burnout prevention plan. So a couple Mondays ago, I did an episode about as I go into this busy season for the end of this year, I have a lot on my schedule, a lot of travel, a lot of speaking, a lot of teaching, a lot of coaching. And I told you guys that I was not going to get burnt out at the end of this year like I did at the beginning of this year. And so I have an update on that. and how it's going. And so I'm excited to share with you guys with that. So stick around for my burnout prevention update, as well as I'm going to do some Q&A today. So as I'm sharing and teaching, I'll go through this stuff as quickly as possible. Okay, why am I talking about what I eat in a day for low stress and high energy? Let me tell you why this is so important. It is because, number one, when we shift our perspective from this concept of managing all stress to understanding that only acute stress should be managed and chronic stress should be eliminated, that means when you set out on a path to eliminate chronic stress, there's some heavier lifting that has to happen, and there's more that's required of you. So there's two major things that I promote. That is the elimination of chronic stress and living a life of radical obedience, right? And both of those requires a lot of big things. For example, making decisions, deciding on what you want, being honest about what you want, having uncomfortable conversations, setting and enforcing boundaries, physical, mental, and emotional endurance. That means the things that you're going to set out to do might take you on a roller coaster ride, and you have to have the physical, mental, and emotional endurance to tackle them. Creativity. Shout out to all of you guys who feel like you're not living in your purpose and it's time to shift and do something different. So, when it comes to eliminating chronic stress and when it comes to living a life of radical obedience, there are some things that are required of us. And we sometimes underestimate how healthy, clear, rested that we need to be to do those hard things. Like to go into an uncomfortable conversation, you got to have your thoughts together, right? To get hit with something unexpected or experience some loss or to leave a job or a relationship that you've become attached to over the years, but that you know is no longer serving you. Like that takes some heavy work and some heavy lifting. And I don't think a lot of us understand how good we need to be eating, how well we need to be hydrated. We a lot of times don't make the connection between being able to do those hard things and what we're putting in our body every day, right? You know, cortisol is our stress hormone. And if cortisol is elevated for an elongated amount of time, it causes our body to release sugar as fuel because when cortisol is elevated, our stress hormone, so that means we stressed out about something. We stressed out about the job, the finances, the house, the babies, the relationship, our own health. We stressed out about something and it's not acute, right? It's chronic, meaning we've been overwhelmed by this thing for a long time, which means our body has been releasing cortisol for a long time. Well, what does that mean biologically and physiologically? That means that our body is receiving this signal, our brain is receiving this signal that we need to flee, we need to run, we're in danger. Like our brain doesn't know we're just driving down the street or we're just sitting, at home on the couch ruminating about all our problems, right? Our body is like, oh, cortisol levels are shooting up. We need to run. And so, what happens when cortisol levels rise? Our body releases sugar. But here's the issue, we just sitting on the couch thinking about how much we hate a certain thing. We're just driving down the street stressed out and crying. We're just laying in bed staring at the ceiling, can't sleep because we're overthinking. Like our body doesn't recognize that we're actually not in physical danger. And so it responds as if we're in physical danger. And so it releases this cortisol. I mean, it releases the cortisol, which also causes us to release sugar because sugar is our body's number one fuel source. But here's the issue, if we don't need to run, if we don't need to jump on top of a car, if we don't need to get out of a wooded area, if there's not a big animal chasing us, we just stressed out. Our body is releasing the cortisol, which triggers a release of sugar. And because the sugar is not about to be burnt up from running, guess what it does? It damages our blood vessels. So before I can get into what I eat, I need you guys to understand the science behind the importance of this conversation today. I need you guys to understand that the more stressed out you are, the more overwhelmed you are without an exit strategy, without an enter strategy, without a community, without a solution, you're releasing cortisol, inadvertently releasing sugar to fuel the threat. But there is no physical threat, but we're still releasing sugar, which means all of this excess sugar damages the blood vessels. I need you guys to understand why what you eat and how you handle stress is so important for today's conversation. Okay, so today is all about eating like you got some sense. Today is all about eating like you got some goals. Today is all about eating like you got some dreams. Today is all about eating like you got things that are non negotiable. Today is all about eating like you refuse to settle. Okay? Because I need you guys to get it. Erica said that's deep. It is. There's stuff that is happening physiologically, chemically in our body when we are overwhelmed and stressed. When we got this stuff that's causing pressure on us over a long period of time, and our only plan of action is just to meditate a little longer or do a yoga or take a day off or self-care, that's not enough. We need an exit strategy. We got to put stuff in place, y'all. That makes sense, y'all? So we got stuff we got to do. So let's talk about this. So I want to share with you first, there's two areas of my body that I covet, that I protect at all costs because of everything I just shared with you, because of how important it is for me to be able to navigate life in a healthy way. The first is the gut. Okay, let me tell you guys, the gut is so important because the gut is number one, where over 80% of our immune system is. The gut is where over 95% of serotonin is produced. There is 400 times more melatonin produced in the gut than in the brain. Like the gut is where our microbiome is. That's where all these little gut bugs live that plays a major role in our overall health. Like the gut is so important. The gut is so important. So, I'm going to tell you one of the major ways to protect your gut today so that your mood can be balanced because you're producing healthy amounts of serotonin, so that your rest can be optimal, so that you're producing healthy amounts of melatonin. Like, there's so many things that the gut is responsible for. The second area that plays a huge role in our ability to make these tough decisions, have recall, decide on what we want, set boundaries is our brain, the health of our brain. Now, you guys know this already. You know how healthy the brain needs to be, but I need you guys to understand that what you eat impacts your brain. So a lot of us, I think it's well known by now that what we eat impacts us from the neck down. You guys know, right? Like my food impacts my blood sugar, my blood pressure, my cholesterol, my kidneys, my liver, right? My reproductive health. Like you guys know how food impacts you from the neck down. But I need you guys to know that it impacts us from the neck up just as much. And so when it comes to your brain, my brain, like I remember, right? I was watching that one film about the astrophysicist. I always forget his name. But when he got diagnosed with that disease that rendered him in a wheelchair for the rest of his life, that film, and he talked about, he went to the doctor, he was talking to the doctor gave him his diagnosis, and the doctor told him, you are going to slowly begin to lose all of your motor functions and you'll be in a wheelchair. And he was, and he couldn't see, he had to use like a little mic to speak. He didn't speak that well. He, couldn't walk anymore. He slowly began to deteriorate because of his diagnosis. And I remember in the film, he asked the doctor, he didn't care about anything else. He said, how will this affect my brain? And the doctor said, your brain will be fine. And he's like, say less. I don't care about anything else. And that's me. Like my brain I covet it because I use it, as all of us do, right? But I use it as my intellectual property. It's where I create my talks. It's where I create our curriculums. It's where I create content online. It's where how I come up with this stuff in the morning. And those divine downloads are so sacred to me. And so the second part that we need to be eating to optimize is our brain. And here's a super fun fact, a fun fact about the gut and the brain. Okay. I should have warned y'all that we were nerding out a little bit today, but did you guys know that the gut and the brain originate from the exact same cell in the human embryo, right? So when we're being conceived and we're in the womb, the gut and the brain originate from the exact same cell. One cell, two organs are generated from it. So one cell. So the gut and the brain originate from the same cell in the human embryo. And then at some point in our development, very, very, very young, the cell divides and forms two separate organs, the brain and then the gut, but they remain connected throughout our entire lives through the vagus nerve, right? So I thought this was so cool when I first learned this many years ago. that the gut and the brain, and we all have heard, right, that our gut is like our second brain, but there is some science attached to this as well, which is they originate from the same cell and they stay connected throughout our entire lives, sending messages back and forth 24 hours a day between our gut and our brain, our gut and our brain. And so when it comes to our ability to navigate stress, when it comes to our ability to have energy, when it comes to our ability to make tough decisions, live a life of radical obedience, the gut and the brain are two of the most important organs that you feed every single day. But yes, when Stephen Hawking got diagnosed with that condition, he was like, I don't care about not being able to walk. I don't care about not being able to use my hands. I don't care about having to be wheelchair bound. How will this affect my brain? Right. And I don't know. That stood out to me in that film about his life. And I never forgot it because I'm like, yo, that's the truth. That's the truth. The gut and the brain. So let me give you some fun facts about each, and then I'll get into some ways that I covet them through my diet. So I told you guys that 95% of serotonin is produced in the gut. Now listen, serotonin is a neurotransmitter and a hormone that's responsible. We know it for regulating mood, right? So that is huge because I would say the number one tool that you need to live a life of radical obedience and to eliminate chronic stress is emotional intelligence. And we know our mood, because we're human, can fluctuate a lot. Our mood fluctuates a lot, as it should, but our ability to navigate our own mood, our own emotions, is really, really important in our ability to make tough decisions for our lives. Like we should be able to feel fear, but still do the scary thing, right? We should be able to feel anger or disappointment and not eat a whole bag of potato chips or not lash out on people or not shut down and withdraw, right? We should be able to feel feelings in a healthy way. Like you get to be sad, angry, disappointed, scared, anxious. We get to be all of those things. Those are part of the human experience. But it's not about feeling those things that is the problem. It's like, well, what behavior does it trigger? Right. So the production of serotonin in our gut is so important because, not having enough can be problematic. Right. And that's when we see people being needing sometimes medications and things for mental health. And so how we eat, our gut plays a huge role in our mental health. Our mental health plays a huge role in our ability to eliminate chronic stress, right? And so the gut, 95% of serotonin is produced there. It helps to regulate mood, sleep, digestion, even blood clotting, right? And so super important. Now, serotonin is a precursor to melatonin. And we know melatonin plays a huge role in our ability to get to sleep, stay asleep. Here's a fun fact, okay? Let's just geek out a little more. When people take melatonin supplements because they want to get to sleep, did you know melatonin supplements will definitely aid in you getting to sleep, but it doesn't aid in the quality of sleep you get? And so the goal is not just to go to sleep. I know a lot of us or a lot of people suffer from insomnia, but the goal is not just to go to sleep. The goal is actually to go through all of the stages of sleep, those alpha, delta, the REM, all of that thing, the theta, all throughout the night. And that determines the quality of the rest, not necessarily the hours, right? You don't have to sleep 8 hours. Some people can survive very well off of 5 and 6 hours of sleep. But my point here is that we want the natural production of our melatonin in our gut to be optimal, right? Sometimes we think we can use supplements and they don't operate the same that the real production does. So when you have a synthetic supplement like melatonin, that will definitely help you get to sleep, but it doesn't help for you to have high quality sleep. And that's what we're aiming for. And so my point is that serotonin is a precursor to the melatonin production in our gut. The gut is so important. The gut is so important. So let me tell you the one thing that we should all be leaning into from a dietary perspective to make sure we're optimizing our gut health, and that is fiber. We should all be fueled by fiber. Fiber is no doubt about it, one of the most common deficiencies in the standard American diet. We are just not getting enough fiber. So, how do I improve the production of melatonin, which over it's 400 times more melatonin is produced in our gut than our brain? How do I improve the production of serotonin? 95% of serotonin is produced in the gut. How do I protect myself against lifestyle diseases that kill so many others when we're looking at things like diabetes, when we're looking at things like heart disease, heart failure, when we consider stuff like high blood pressure and high cholesterol and kidney failure.
Let me ask you something. How much is stress costing you? Is it costing you your energy, your focus, your health, your peace? See, most of us have been told to manage chronic stress, but here's the truth. Managing chronic stress isn't enough. You deserve to eliminate it at the root. That's why we created the Clarity Lab, where stress meets strategy. The Clarity Lab is a 5-day immersive stress focus group. It's an experience that's designed to help you uncover your biggest stress triggers, reframe how you respond to pressure, and build a personalized strategy for sustainable health and performance. In just 5 days, you will walk away better understanding what's at the root of your stress, what limiting beliefs have been keeping you stuck, and more important, how to start moving with confidence, control, and clarity. And the best part, you won't do it alone. You'll be guided by myself and my team of coaches alongside a powerful community on the journey to do the exact same thing. So, if you're ready to stop paying the price of stress and start living with clarity, join us inside of our next Clarity Lab. Spots are limited, but you can secure yours right now at lisaangelsmith.com/Clarity Lab. That's lisaangelsmith.com/Clarity Lab. Clarity Lab is where stress meets strategy. So click the link in the show notes and get registered for this complimentary 5-day stress focus group. I'll see you in the lab.
Let's just take it down to the basics, the root of all of those conditions, which is inflammation, right? So, how do I protect myself against inflammation? How do I ensure that my immune system is strong enough to fight off whatever I might come in contact with in the world? The answer is your gut health. How do we improve our gut health? The answer is fiber. So there's two things I will say about gut, actually. The first is fiber. Here's a pop quiz for my viewers today. How much fiber should we be eating per day, y'all? How much fiber should we be eating per day for optimal gut health? You guys tell me. Did you guys know fiber is a prebiotic, right? So we all know probiotic, those are the actual gut bugs. And then prebiotic is what the gut bugs eat. Okay. So fiber is a prebiotic. And so it is one of the best ways to ensure your microbiome, which is just this ecosystem of bugs that live inside of us. Gross, but kind of cool. So our gut bugs, also known as our microbiome, is this ecosystem of bugs that live in our gut, and we have healthy ones that keep us thriving, and we have not so healthy ones that slowly help us to deteriorate. We want to be consuming a minimum of 30 grams of fiber a day. This is so important. You guys will be surprised how much fiber a lot of us are not getting. So, one of the things I prioritize in my diet to keep stress low, which means my melatonin is optimal, my serotonin is optimal, my immune system is optimal, my digestive system is optimal, eliminating properly, is fiber. Fiber, fiber, fiber. So, now here is a pro tip about fiber. One of the biggest mistakes a lot of us are making when it comes to fiber is we are using a man made supplement. Now, y'all know the popular brand names, but there are some very popular fiber supplements that people use. Here's my advice to you: take them out back and put them in the nearest trash can. They are often full of sugar, fillers, but most importantly, because of their synthetic nature, when you use them over time, should I say, they can disrupt the way your body naturally eliminates, right? So we should not be getting our fiber from powder. Thank you, Rochelle. She said, I call them out. We should not be getting our fiber from powder. We should be getting our fiber from food. It is just as easy to get fiber from food as it is to get it from a powder, guys. Don't think that you're taking a shortcut because it can damage you over time. So we want to get our fiber from food. So one of the things I do, my pre-workout before I go to the gym. So today, I was at the gym this morning. I did 30 minutes on the Stairmaster. You guys just like cover me, okay? Cover me, all right? Anybody who does 30 minutes on the Stairmaster, we just got to thank God that they're alive. You know what I mean? Because the Stairmaster will take you out the game. But I did 30 minutes on the Stairmaster. And after that, it was leg day. So I had like another 30 minutes of, leg workout. And before I went to the gym, my fuel for my workout was a red apple with peanut butter. Both have fiber in them. And so I ate a quick apple with some peanut butter, and that was my pre workout for a heavy muscle group. Legs are a heavy muscle group. So you really want to make sure you fuel up before we work those bigger muscle groups in the gym. And so that's getting fiber in right there, right? I'm getting some healthy fats through the peanut butter. I'm getting some fiber through the apple and peanut butter, right? I'm getting protein through the peanut butter. And so that real food is what helps us to ensure that we're fueling our body properly and we're not setting ourselves up for complications because we're taking man made supplements years later. So, fiber, we're talking about two main areas of the body that we want to protect. The first is the gut, and fiber is one of the best ways you can do that. The other way we protect our gut is with healthy fats. Okay. So healthy fats like omega 3s, they help to shift the microbiome. Remember, I told you that's that ecosystem of gut bugs that protect us, these like little workhorses that lives in our gut. And when we feed them good things like the fiber that comes from fruit and vegetables and whole grains, they thrive and they help us to thrive. But when we feed them synthetic things, that's where inflammation and disease begins to crop up. So we have healthy fats in addition to a high fiber diet, minimum of 30 grams a day. That's going to play a major role in you having a healthy gut. And some of you guys, you need to restore your gut health. There's so many things that can destroy your gut, like food, supplements, and medications, right? A lot of those things, antibiotics, if we have to take them if we get sick, extended use of antibiotics can really do damage to the gut. Drugs and alcohol do damage to the gut. Stress does damage to the gut. And so you want to optimize fiber and you want to optimize healthy fats. Healthy fats is going to be like your avocados and your nuts and your seeds. And, these things can really, really help to restore gut health when we eat them consistently. So it's going to be a big deal. So healthy fats helps to shift the microbiome so that we can absorb short chain fatty acids from fiber. Okay. So never mind all the science. What do I need to know? Well, one of the ways that I am going to set myself up for success with being able to eliminate the stress in my life or keep it away and start making tough decisions, having better recall, having better emotional regulation, having more psychological flexibility, as I understand that the gut and the brain are one, and I understand that I need to optimize and feed both of them in such a way that allows me to thrive. And so I'm going to start by making sure I'm getting 30 grams of fiber a day or more. I'm going to make sure I have those healthy fats in my diet. That's going to be huge. The other thing, and as we move into the brain, and then I'll talk to you guys about some meals and some fun stuff. The other thing that's going to be major, major, major that you'll need to do, that you'll need to eliminate. So, fiber is something we need to add. Now, I'm going to tell you something you want to take away, and that is ultra processed food. Ultra processed food damages the gut so bad, and it also damages the brain. And it's also disease promoting. A lot of the ultra processed food is carcinogenic, which means it can lead to cancer. So, ultra processed foods are these packaged foods that have a ton of chemicals, food dyes, preservatives that gives it a shelf life, right? So, ultra processed foods are also compromising your brain and your gut. Your brain and your gut are super compromised when you eat a bunch of ultra processed food. So, guys, this is your potato chips, your favorite chocolate covered snacks. This is your canned goods. This is your frozen meals, right? This is your synthetic drinks that, are all of these weird colors that don't even grow in the earth. This ultra processed food, when we look at fast food alone, stay out of the drive throughs. All of this stuff is destroying your executive functioning. Listen, me and Stephen Hawking told you your brain is so important and you killing it with all of the junk that you can't seem to stay away from. The takeout, like delete the app off your phone if you can't stop ordering all of this stuff that's full of oil, salt, sugar, preservatives, food dyes. Everything's deep fried, everything's smothered in butter and cheese, and it's so inflammatory. And you know that you're risking it all when it comes to your physical health. But I need you to understand today that you're risking it all when it comes to your cognitive health, when it comes to your emotional health. The ultra processed food, guys, it has to stop. I get that it looks good on a commercial. I get that it looks good on social media. I get that you were sad that day. I understand that you're trying to cope, but the stuff is killing us. Like all of the wings and all of the cheese and the pizza and the burgers and the steaks and all the shrimp and all the boils and all it's oil, it's salt, it's sugar, it's fat, it's saturated fat, it's cholesterol. Why is this important? All of the cholesterol and saturated fat that comes from animal products comes from dairy, clogs our arteries. Now, we know when a clogged artery leads to our heart, it can result in a heart attack. Number one cause of death in America, heart disease. Makes sense. But did you guys know when a clogged artery leads to the brain, it can cause a stroke? Not only does clogged arteries increase your risk for a stroke or heart attack, clogged arteries, whether the artery leads to the heart, neck down, or the brain, neck up, also cuts off your brain's access to nutrients, to vitamins and minerals. So I need you to understand if you have these little vessels that lead to the most important organ in your body, which is your brain, but you're clogging it up every day because you can't say no to the chips or the cheese, to the alcohol or the bacon, right? To the pork chops and the burgers, to the ultra processed, even vegan food, to all of the refined bread, refined rice, refined potato. If all of that stuff you can't say no to and you have no self control and you eat it consistently, and it's clogging up all of these vessels. That means the one apple that you decide to eat this week, that means the one piece of lettuce that came on your sandwich. That means the one time you convince somebody to let you try a black bean burger. The nutrients that's in those things can't even get to your brain because you don't clog the vessels up with the burgers and the fries and the wings and things. Right? You just had to have the oxtail stuffed egg roll. It looks so good on social media. You just it's your favorite show, and with your favorite show comes your favorite potato chip, and with your favorite potato chip comes with your favorite fruit juice, and with your favorite fruit juice, like you got a whole brain, you got a whole system of putting junk into your body voluntarily. And then when life happens, when you get a call with some bad news, or when you get the email and it wasn't what you were expecting, or when you wake up tomorrow and something unexpected hit your bank account, now you don't have the emotional stability to handle it because you haven't mastered what it takes to eat like you got some sense. You guys think eating this way is just to avoid a heart attack and diabetes? No, it's so that you can have the emotional fortitude, the stability to manage life. Like there's no way that, a car repair or a repair in your house. I told y'all last week that my refrigerator went out at the crib. I ain't even trip on it. I still ain't tripping. I'm just like, well, we got to take care of it. But I don't lash out. Stuff happens all the time as in business. I'm an entrepreneur full time, 10 years. That comes with a roller coaster of things, dealing with real humans, dealing with a team, dealing with opportunities, right? Dealing with which opportunities do I say yes to? Which ones do I say no to, right? Having to make decisions all the time that affects other people. I gotta eat like I got some sense. You guys have got to stop letting food have more control over you than you have over it. Your brain is compromised. Okay, if you don't care about your waist, forget it. I don't either. If you don't care about the size of your stomach, forget it. I don't either. If you don't care about the risk of getting cancer, forget it. I don't either. But let me tell you something. The way you talk to people, the way you make decisions or your ability to make decisions, how you treat other humans, your ability to have compassion, your ability to have patience, your ability to make decisions when somebody makes you an offer, your ability to be creative. Let's just talk about creativity. God gave you an assignment. You can't even create the content. You can't write the book. You can't do the business plan because your brain is so cloudy, your emotions are so erratic. Your thinking is so unclear, and you are not making the connection that it was the greasy, cheesy pasta that you had to have from the social media. You're not making the connection that it was the new pizza that they just came out with that you just had to taste. You're not making the connection that is your coffee and your latte full of milk, dairy, sugar. Every morning, you thinking, oh, I'm just getting older. No, no, no. It's the fact that you have a caffeine addiction. It's the fact that you have a sugar addiction. It's the fact that you have an oil addiction that is compromising your cognitive and your executive functioning. So now you stressed. You're stressed. Because even if you attempt to make a decision, you then don't trust the decision and you stay up all night second guessing the decision. We need better mental clarity, guys. Okay. In rant. Let me get back on track.
Here's my confession. In my many years as an entrepreneur, I've had multiple experiences of burnout. And it wasn't until I started deep diving into the science of stress that I better understood burnout. And it helped me realize two major things. The first is that burnout is a form of chronic stress. And the second is that you can become burnt out from things that you genuinely enjoy. And you can still be taking care of yourself, eating right, exercising, taking time off, and still become burnt out. That was my circumstance. And that's why it took me so long to recognize that I was actually experiencing chronic stress. So I have a question for you. How stressed are you really? Because stress doesn't always shout at us. Sometimes it whispers. It hides in our fatigue, our headaches, our irritability, and even our sleep or how we eat. It shows up in our bodies and our minds long before we notice. And that's also why we created our stress assessment. In just a few minutes, you'll discover where stress may be hiding in your life and what it's costing you. The assessment is free, it's fast, and it might just give you the clarity you've been looking for. So click the link in the show notes to take our stress assessment today and see your results. Clarity is waiting on the other side.
I hope I was talking to somebody right there. We got to start eating like we got some sense. This is not just a me problem. This is not just a if I get disease, that's on me problem. No, that is I can't make healthy decisions for my family problem. That is I'm not making good decisions as a CEO problem. That is I am not showing up for my team in a way they need me as a leader in the C-suite problem. The quality of your brain affects the quality of your work. So why would you eat anything that compromises the brain? So ultra processed food has to go. That's where this rant started. Over 60% of the standard American diet is ultra processed food. It's a whole bunch of synthetic foolishness that has been scientifically engineered to identify the perfect bliss point. Does anybody know what the bliss point is? Don't worry, I'll tell you. The bliss point is the optimal combination of three of the most deadly things that we consume. The bliss point is the most optimal combination of salt, oil, and sugar. It's been scientifically engineered. So, what happens is in the lab, when they're making your potato chips, when they're making your chocolate covered snack, when they're making your donuts and your cakes and all of your treats and your candy and your soda that you got to have, right? When they're blending your iced coffee before they pour it into the glass bottle that you about to buy, they have scientifically engineered what's called a bliss point This means they went in the lab and said, okay, no, we need 3 parts sugar, 1 part salt, and 5 parts fat. We have determined that this combination is the exact combination that's going to stop them from eating and drinking just one. This is the combination that will trigger the addiction. The bliss point, ultra processed food. You can look this up. What is the bliss point? It is the scientifically engineered formula for the perfect combination of salt, oil, and sugar. Or it's not all your fault that you addicted, is what I'm trying to say. But what I'm also trying to say is what we know about addiction is that moderation is not a great approach to it. See, what I'm saying is you listening to this and you're like, well, I'm not that bad. I try and watch what I eat. I try and eat vegetables. I try and do the best I can. And you're still giving yourself grace for moderation. And what I'm here to tell you is if you're not operating at your best and food still plays a role in your life that has nothing to do with your life expectancy and your health, but it plays an emotional role in your life. And you dependent on certain things to enjoy certain parts of your life. I'm telling you, abstinence is the answer, not moderation. It has a bigger hold over you than you have over it. That's a problem. Like any substance, food is a substance. Yours might not be alcohol. Yours might not be marijuana. Yours might not be cocaine. Yours might not be pills. Yours are the potato chips, the donuts, the lattes, the coffee, all of the stuff that you feel like you have to have and can't live without. It's killing you cognitively, right? You're cloudy, you're not clear. And so the ultra processed food has to go because it's been engineered to be addictive. I'm just trying to free y'all today. So let's wrap up. Let me tell y'all some of the stuff that I do really quickly so we can go and get up out of here. Okay. Let me tell y'all some of the stuff I do real quickly. First is I don't take man made vitamins. Now, a lot of people, because I'm vegan, I'm plant based, if you guys don't know. So I am vegan, but I am not a junk food vegan. So I don't eat all the ultra processed vegan food. So when I say ultra processed, I'm not just talking about animal based products. I'm talking about vegan food too. Like vegan food can be ultra processed and unhealthy as well. So there's no judgment either way. All of it got to go. So I'm plant based. So let me just be clear for anybody who might not know. I don't eat any animal products. So I don't eat any meat, eggs, seafood, dairy. No, no fish, no shrimp, none of it, right? No eggs, no butter, no cheese, no sour cream, no ice cream. I don't eat any dairy, no milk byproducts. So that's the first thing I attribute to my ability to be healthy is that I'm not eating a bunch of growth hormones, animal fat, cholesterol, saturated fat. That plays a huge difference. I'm not consuming the inflammatory properties of dairy. I also don't eat any refined sugar, no refined sugar. So that means that I get my sugar and my sweetness from fruit, from dried fruit. And so I'm not getting all of the sweetness. And when I say no refined sugar, guys, that means like I also don't do monk fruit. I don't do maple syrup. I don't do agave. I think, let me see what else y'all gonna ask me about. I don't do coconut sugar. I don't do sugar alcohols. I don't do xylitol, erythritol, all of those things. And so I'm big on, reading everything that goes into my body. And in addition to that, I don't consume excess oil. So I don't have cooking oil in my house. So we do a challenge twice a year called the 30-day vegan salt, oil, and sugar-free challenge. Matter of fact, the link to it is pinned in the comments if you want to get registered for our next one, if you want us to walk this journey and teach you how to optimize your brain and your gut through food. But when we do our challenge, it's absolutely no oil, absolutely no salt, right? No sugar for 30 days. And I do the challenge with my audience, right? But when I'm not in the challenge, although I don't cook with oil at home, like so I don't have olive oil in my kitchen. I don't have what other oils do y'all be thinking healthy? Let me say what y'all gonna ask about. Sunflower oil, I don't have that. I don't have avocado oil. I don't have coconut oil. I don't have any of those oils in my house. I don't cook with them at all. But I will tell you, sometimes there's oil in my marinades. So I might buy like a garlic and herb marinade every now and then to marinate my vegetables or my tofu or something like that. And if I'm not doing the challenge, there might be minimal amounts of oil in that and I'll allow it. It's minimal, but the other thing is I'm not in a health crisis. Like our challenge is really designed for people who are in a health crisis. Like they got excess weight that's not moving. They have a diagnosis, they're on medications, they have chronic pain, they have chronic brain fog, they have insomnia, they have chronic stress. So our challenge is designed for people, and that's why we're so aggressive with our protocol. So if I'm not on a challenge and I'm not battling anything, that's the other caveat, then I'll allow minimal oil it's typically through my marinades. And the other place that I might get oil from in my diet is taco shells. Taco shells. I actually just stopped eating tortilla chips, but taco shells, and that's just because of the oil. So oil can be so inflammatory, and so many, we've been taught that it's a health food, but we consume it like gangbusters, and we don't realize how much it keeps us overweight because it's so high in fat, so high in calories. And then it also can clog the artery, so it clogs our endothelial cells, right? So oil can be very damaging to our health, and so oil is very, very, very low for me. Very low. Like I made chili last night. And like, how a lot of us, we grew up, and I grew up this way too, where like we put oil in the pan just to saute onions and garlic, right? And all of those things. I don't do that. Like I just put the stuff in the pan, cook it and dump stuff. But I don't use oil. So even if I'm doing a stir fry, saute, roasting, I don't use oil. And I know that is very hard conceptually for a lot of people to understand. But I can tell the difference if I have some. Like I can tell the difference if I'm like eating out. And of course, I can't control that oil as much. Traveling sometimes, I can literally tell the difference in my body when I've had like more oil than what I would usually allow. So that's a big deal. So I'm minimal oil. Yo, guys, so I said I'm plant-based vegan. I'm minimal oil, super minimum oil. And I am absolutely no refined processed sugar. And that includes the sugars that a lot of you guys consider healthy. And I'll tell you, a lot of people ask, well, like, can I have honey? Can I have maple syrup? Can I have stevia? Can I have monk fruit? And those things I consider like there's a hierarchy, right? Like the sugar that's going to come in like your cookies or your box cereal or like your favorite drinks and your sodas, right? That's the white sugar, the junk. And then you get a little better when you get to like a maple syrup or agave, right? You get a little better. The issue with those though is that there's no fiber. And so you're still going to get a spike in your blood sugar. And because I don't eat sugar, I can tell when I've had, like, even if it's a natural sweetener, because every now and then I used to visit stuff like, well, I can have this. It's vegan, it's sweetened with maple syrup, but I can tell in my brain instantly, like, because sugar is one of the leading causes of memory loss. So those of you who are really, really struggling with being able to recall things and you're attributing it to your age, it's not your age. Try your diet first to see if things change. So even with things like maple syrup and honey, I can tell the difference in my memory and my ability to recall and think clearly. I can also tell the difference in fatigue. So sugar really, 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 really tires you out. So those of you who are starting your day with like your caffeinated drinks that are full of so much sugar, those of you that are fueling yourself throughout the day with energy drinks and all of these things that are full of sugar, it's killing you. It's spiking your blood sugar, which means you crash, and then it's destroying your memory, and then it's also making you tired because that spike in that blood sugar and that quick drop in your blood sugar because there's no fiber present, it's also what causes fatigue. And so then you need another hit for energy, right? So one of the things that happens for people who are take our challenge is that when we take that caffeine out of their diet that was full of sugar in the morning, they're tired for the first couple of weeks in the challenge, and they really feel like they need that caffeine and that sugar to for a pick me up. But the truth is, like their body is withdrawing and detoxing, right? So I don't do any of that. I avoid ultra processed food. We've talked about that, even if it's vegan. And let me say this, especially when it comes to how I protect my brain, which is these excitotoxins. So sugar is something that we consider an excitotoxin, and this is the hyperactivity that it causes in the mind. So when you are dealing with something like chronic stress or dealing with something like entrepreneurship, dealing with family issues, career issues, money issues, whatever it is, the way to get out of that is you have to first decide what you want, and then you got to start making some decisions, right? And decide means to cut off. You got to kill off all other options. And to be able to do that and be confident in the decisions you make, you need the full capacity of your brain, the full capacity of your mind. And a lot of us don't have that because we rob ourselves of it through eating excitotoxins. So that is your sugar, that's your MSG, right? These things will destroy your gut and destroy your brain. Right? So things that causes like glutamate is an excitotoxin. And so this is a big deal because it really impairs our ability to think clearly. Okay, so I don't do ultra processed food that's going to be flavored with all of those excitotoxins, right? I do at least one raw meal a day. I eat cooked food every day, but I do believe in the benefits of raw as well. So some benefits we get from eating food raw as well. And so I do at least one raw meal a day. Another thing that people are scared of, especially if they want to lose weight, is starch. And so I eat starch. Starch is our rice, bread, pasta, and potatoes. I do eat starch and I eat high fiber though. So I'm not eating like the white bun that might come on a vegan burger on a regular basis, right? Like I might have these things, I don't know, handful of times a year, maybe, right? Where I like allow myself to go there. But I mean, when I say very minimal, and again, I'm not battling anything, right? So decisions have to be made based on what your body needs in that season. So sometimes I steer away from talking about this stuff because people just try and copy what I do, but we don't have the same health status, right? I've done the work to lose over 60 pounds and keep it off. I have not a single diagnosis. I'm not on any medications, like none of it. So be very careful with thinking you have the freedom to indulge when you're literally battling something. Like that's so important. Like your regimen should be based on your current health status. Then let's talk about hydration for a second. I think this is the last piece I want to talk to you guys about. And I'm going to tell you guys some of the meals I ate this week. But from a hydration standpoint, I start every morning with warm lemon water every single day. So warm lemon water at the top of the day. Then I drink half of my healthy body weight in ounces of water every single day. I love coconut water because of the electrolytes. Great, another additional way to hydrate has to be coconut water with no added sugar. Not all coconut water is created equal. That's why in our challenge and in our plant based coaching programs, we teach you guys skill sets like how to read labels and things like that. Herbal tea all the time, for anti-inflammatory properties and just because it's a vibe. I love it. So if I want a little razzle dazzle in my beverages, just this year I got hip to sparkling mineral water. No, I'm late to the party. But sparkling mineral water, I love spark. So I don't, not the stuff with the artificial flavor and all that crap, like grapefruit and strawberry and all that stuff. No, no, no. But sparkling mineral water, I like that for a little razzle dazzle. I just last week found a sparkling coconut water. I was like, let me try this. So that's what I might drink for a little razzle dazzle. If I get caffeine, it'll typically be from tea. So I drink mostly herbal teas, but every now and then I'll enjoy a black tea because I like black tea. And then I will drink green tea, which is caffeinated. So my caffeine is super minimal and it's not a must have, right? So super important. And then like just an idea of some of like the meals I had this week. So you guys get an idea of what some of this, how some of this might come together. So this week I had tacos, and my tacos were made like the filling was made with quinoa, black beans. There's some plant-based grounds that I use that are really, really, really clean. And then all my seasonings, right? All the seasonings in there, like your chili powder, your cumin, your smoked paprika, a little bit of sea salt, nutritional yeast. Delicious. Like tacos are probably like one of my favorite meals that I make. So I had some quinoa tacos this week that were phenomenal. I also had a brown rice bowl this week with like brown rice, plantains, maitake mushrooms, tofu, fire. I had a curry stir fry this week, curry stir fry with all the curry seasonings and things, with brown rice, edamame mushrooms, bean sprouts, and some other veg in there. I can't remember. I made chili yesterday, so hearty and yummy and thick. So I had my chili with all my beans and stuff. Fiber, so much fiber. And then I had several salads this week. I like big salads. So my salads, I usually have like oven crispy tofu, and then all of the salad stuff. I had cucumber, beets, avocados, pepitas, red onion, olives, right? So like to get that raw food in to make sure we're just getting that variety. I spoke this past weekend in Midland, Georgia, And so they were so kind, and I told them I need a vegan option. They was like, we're gonna give you some food. What do you want? And so I was able to have like yellow rice and veg from the caterer, ton of smoothies. So I drink a protein smoothie typically after every workout. Today I had a bowl of chili because that's super high protein, that's still restored. Got that 25 grams of protein in plus starch. So you want starch and protein immediately following a workout. And so I don't have a protein powder, guys. I don't use synthetic protein. I use ground hemp seeds, peanut butter. So I have a 25-gram protein smoothie that has 2 tablespoons of peanut butter, so I think that is 8 grams of protein, 4 tablespoons of ground hemp seeds, that's 11 grams of protein, and then another 1 cup of my milk, my plant milk, and that's 9 grams of protein. So right there, that's just over 25 grams of protein from real food that I have in my smoothie for post workout. I like to munch on snacks like nuts, popcorn, dates. I get sweetness from dried fruit as well, so like some dates. Because I don't really eat sugar, like I don't need a lot of that. It's still too sweet for me. Like I've gotten to the point where like dried mango and dates are too sweet for me, so I have them very minimally. I made some homemade banana bread this week, so that was good. So that satisfied my sweet tooth. And my homemade banana bread, the only sweetener is banana. So I'll wait till the bananas get really ripe, right? And then the other sweetener, oh, unsweetened applesauce. I was trying to remember what it was. Unsweetened applesauce. So applesauce, unsweetened applesauce is still sweet to me. And so I add it for like the softness too of the banana bread, but then also it probably adds a little sweetener. I don't know. So that's the only sweetener in my banana bread. It's no honey, it's no agave, no coconut sugar, no monk fruit, none of that stuff. None of that is in my house. So those are some of the meals I had this week, and then a variety of plants to get micronutrients, right? So a lot of times when we're like trying to make adjustments in our health, one of the things we do is we adjust our macronutrients, proteins, carbs, and fat. I need more protein, less carbs, right? We do that all the time. But micronutrients is how you extend life. So micronutrients are vitamins and minerals. And so I get vitamins and minerals from a variety of plants. So this week alone, I've had spinach, I've had basil, I've had cilantro, I've had edamame, I've had beets, I've had sprouts, I've had organic mixed greens, red lettuce. Like I'm so big on a variety of foods from the plant kingdom because that's why I don't need vitamins. That's exactly why I don't take a multivitamin. That's why I don't take a protein powder, all this synthetic stuff that can destroy your kidneys, destroy your gut, especially when we just eat them consistently over time. Like I don't do a pre-workout, I don't do none of that stuff, right? So that's very important to me to be mindful of consuming man-made supplements, right? Nature-made supplements, like I have some sea moss in my kitchen. I have flax, right? Those are nature-made things, one ingredient. Right? So that's big. So that's how I might supplement my food. Okay, so a variety of fruit this week for those polyphenols. Shout out to antioxidants to protect my immune system. So a variety of fruit. I've had grapes this week. I've had cantaloupe. I've had apples. I've had bananas. I've had peaches. I've had blueberries. And we eat berries all the time, nearly every day. It's what we teach our students, 1 cup of berries a day. And so all of these things is what aids in me being able to have an even keeled disposition to navigate the things that life throws at us that causes the stress, right? So super important. Let me give you guys a quick update for my burnout prevention plan. If you want assistance with learning how to eat to live in this way, make sure you click the link in the chat that's pinned in the chat to get registered for our next 30-day vegan SOS free challenge, salt, oil, and sugar free. So we'll have a prep class October, November, December, and the challenge kicks off on January 1. So make sure you're registered if you want to be in the classroom with us learning this stuff in a more intimate setting. And so I'm in this really busy season with a lot of traveling, a lot of creativity, a lot of requirements of me as a leader, as a CEO, as a speaker, and as a coach, right? And so I'm so proud to report that I've been adhering to the burnout prevention plan. So, I said that I was going to do certain things, like make sure I had a team in place to support me, which we have secured the team. I'm training them every week, and they are doing a phenomenal job. So I'm so happy about that. Specifically, shout out to Tiff, who is really assisting me on the admin side. So I told you guys I was going to get help. That was part of the plan. The other thing was my immediate ecosystem. I was putting them on notice to protect me when I didn't have it in me to protect myself. And so, shout out to Coach Kiwi, shout out to my partner, all of them who have been checking on me, making sure I'm good and supporting me and showing up when they can. So, shout out to Kiwi. She'll be with me in Atlanta this weekend. My right hand, the peanut butter to my jelly. And so that has been working well. The other thing, I'm super proud, guys. Like, so when I took the stage on Saturday, the day before I flew to Atlanta this past Friday. So the day before I flew out on Thursday, I didn't have anything on my calendar. I said I would honor the day before and the day after of the speaking engagement. So I didn't have anything like, oh, I had two appointments on my calendar Thursday morning. And then after that, the rest of the day was clear. On Friday, I didn't have anything on my calendar the day that I flew out. And I was able to fly into Georgia so well rested, feeling my best. And then on Sunday, yesterday, the calendar was super light. So I had a couple light things to do for work, but I've been really honoring that day before and day after of a gig for me, which is huge, and giving myself space and time to recover. So it's working so far, y'all. So between team and delegation, intentional about scheduling around the commitment. And then the other thing is trusting God. One of the things I talked about in my episode about burnout prevention was sometimes we have a tendency to overcommit and we have a tendency to overwork. And that could be, it's not always, but it could be indicative of a faith issue. And so for me, I've been really leaning into, we do our Bible study, our devotion every morning, every evening. And I've been really leaning into what does it actually mean to trust God? Like, what does that actually mean? And so that's being more vulnerable when I need to be, and that is taking my hands off of stuff as soon as I feel tired versus like trying to push through and just being like, I can finish it. I can do it. I can do it. I can finish it. So less of that and more of sitting down and being still. So I'm so happy to report that the burnout prevention plan that I publicly shared with you guys a couple of weeks ago is actively working. Let's pull it off again this week and the week after. So that is it from me. Until next Monday, you guys have an absolutely phenomenal week. And remember, if you don't do anything else, remember to eat like you got some sense. Bye, y'all.
You tuned in today because, like me, you refuse to let your good become the enemy of your great. You're not settling for good health when optimal is well within reach. If you're ready to go from good to great, visit lisaangelsmith.com to learn more about our plant-based health coaching program, Farm to Table, and our plant-based business accelerator and coaching certification. But before you go, if you enjoyed what you heard today, please consider rating and reviewing this podcast. Until next time, remember, radical obedience is still undefeated. Stay obedient.